Take a close look at the tip of your dog's nose. That pebbled, wet, weirdly textured surface, it is called the rhinarium, and the pattern of ridges and dimples on it is utterly unique to that one individual animal. No two dogs on Earth share the same nose print, not even identical twins. Several countries actually use nose prints as legal ID for purebred dog registration. But that is the least interesting thing about your dog's nose. A human nose contains roughly 5 million olfactory receptors. A dog's nose contains roughly 300 million, 60 times more. And the part of the brain that processes those signals, the olfactory bulb, is 40 times larger in the dog brain than in the human brain, even though dog brains are otherwise smaller than ours. What that translates to in practice is hard to even imagine. Researchers estimate dogs can detect certain odors at concentrations of 1 part per trillion. To put that in scale, 1 part per trillion is roughly 1 drop of liquid in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. A dog can smell that reliably from the other side of the pool deck. When you and I breathe, the same air handles both functions. Breathing and smelling, they share a single passage. In a dog, those two functions are physically separated inside the nasal cavity. When a dog inhales, a fold of tissue diverts roughly 12% of the incoming air into a dedicated branch dedicated entirely to olfaction. That branch leads to the olfactory recess, a chamber that does not exchange air with the lungs. Scent molecules accumulate there, they linger, they get processed in calm, undisturbed air. When a dog exhales, the air does not exit the way it came in. It comes out the slits on the side of the nostrils, those little curved openings you can see when a dog sniffs hard. That side vent design means that the outgoing air does not blow away the scent the dog is trying to study. Incoming air goes straight in, outgoing air goes sideways. The scent cloud the dog is investigating stays intact. Here is something almost no humans realize. Dogs smell in stereo. Just like our 2 ears can localize a sound, their 2 nostrils can localize a smell. Each nostril samples the air independently, and the dog's brain compares the strength of the scent arriving in each side. By comparing the two, the dog can tell which direction a scent is coming from, sometimes within a few degrees of precision, and the 2 nostrils do not work the same way. Studies at Iotivos Loran University and elsewhere have shown that dogs typically prefer the right nostril when sampling a new or potentially threatening scent. Once they have classified the scent as familiar or safe, they switch to the left nostril for the follow-up sniffs. It is a behavioral signature of cerebral hemisphere specialization. The right brain handles novelty and arousal. The left brain handles routine. The nostrils mirror this. Dogs also have a second nose. Tucked above the roof of the mouth, just behind the upper incisors, sits a small structure called the vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ. It is not for everyday smells, it is for pheromones. Chemical signals that other animals release to communicate fear, reproductive status, individual identity, and emotional state. When you see a dog with its mouth slightly open, tongue flicking lightly across the front of the palate, that is called the tonguing or Fleeman-like behavior. The dog is pulling air across the opening of Jacobson's organ to sample pheromones from another animal's urine, scent mark, or breath. This is how dogs read the social newsletter at every fire hydrant. Each scent mark is a paragraph about who passed by, how long ago, their sex, their age, their emotional state, sometimes even their diet. Your dog is not just sniffing, your dog is reading. Let us walk through what dogs have been trained or documented to detect. Narcotics, explosives, currency, and contraband produce. Cell phones inside prisons, cancer cells in human urine and breath, including ovarian, prostate, lung, breast, and colorectal cancers. Bedbug infestations, down to a single live insect hidden in a hotel mattress. Cancer detection is one of the most striking. In a 2019 study published in the Journal of Breath Research, trained dogs identified lung cancer breath samples with about 97% accuracy. Several university hospitals are now using dogs as a screening adjunct, particularly for cancers that lack reliable early biomarkers. The dogs do not know what cancer is. They know that something in the breath of a cancer patient smells different, and they are extraordinarily reliable at flagging it. Other documented detections: hypoglycemia in diabetic owners before a blood sugar crash, approaching epileptic seizures sometimes up to 45 minutes in advance, COVID-19 infection in human sweat samples with accuracy comparable to PCR, termites inside walls, whale scat at sea, truffles specific endangered species like the Sumatran tiger and the kakapo. If something has a distinct chemical signature, a dog can probably learn to find it. The mechanics of how dogs process scent are still being uncovered. But one finding from the last decade has changed how scientists think about it. Dogs do not just smell, they appear to construct three-dimensional scent maps of their environment, layered in time. When a dog sniffs a tree, they are not just detecting a single moment, they are detecting layers of scent deposits made hours, days, or even weeks apart. And they can roughly tell which layer is older and which is fresher, based on the rate of molecular decay. In effect, a dog walking down the street can read a kind of olfactory timeline. The neighbor's dog passed here this morning. A squirrel sat there yesterday. A jogger sweated past the day before. What we experience as a static visual world, a dog experiences as a continuously updating time-layered scent document. It is a fundamentally different way of being in space. Back to where we started. The pattern of bumps and grooves on the rhinarium is set very early in a puppy's development and stays stable across the dog's life. The American Kennel Club has accepted nose prints as canine ID since the 1,930 In Canada, the Canadian Kennel Club has used nose prints for purebred registration verification for decades. Computer vision systems trained on nose print databases can now match a dog to its identity from a photograph with accuracy exceeding 98%. The nose is biometric. Each one is permanently unique, just like a human fingerprint, just like an iris, which means the very organ that lets your dog read the world is also the organ that uniquely identifies them in it. So the next time your dog freezes on a walk and spends 90 seconds inhaling a single tuft of grass while you tug impatiently on the leash, try to remember what is actually happening. 300 million receptors are firing. The right nostril is sampling for threat. The left is checking for familiarity. Jacobson's organ is decoding pheromones from an animal that passed by hours ago. The olfactory bulb is reconstructing a four-dimensional map of every creature hormone and chemical event that touched this patch of ground. Your dog is not stalling. Your dog is reading. Give them a moment. They are getting the news.